Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to be able to have you here. It looks like we're going to start getting some people in little by little. So I'm pretty excited about this. I think it's actually kind of cool. From a person who has spent a lot of time just straight out gawking all of the pictures here. We have the privilege, and thank you very much before we actually begin everything else. I will like to say, thank you to BenQ for producing this and making something like this happen. But really, the star of the hour here is Misshattan. So, Natalie, it's good to see you.
So
Yeah,
great to see you. So happy to be here, and I'm happy that I get to, spend some time hanging out with you guys. It's gonna be fun.
yeah. And I think that this is pretty cool in that what we want to do here is we just kind of want to open this up to have a little bit of a conversation. Now, before we actually begin, you're in New York. How are we doing so far in terms of air quality?
Air quality looks good right now. I don't know. I wouldn't say good, but it wasn't as bad as it was a couple of weeks ago. So I'll take it. It looks clear. It looks fine. Haven't spent too much time outside, thankfully. So yeah, hopefully it won't get any worse.
Okay, awesome. Well, good. Well, I have my webinar chat here open. So if we have any questions, please feel free to be able to share most of that stuff. I will also spend some time doing what I tend to do privately, which is gawk over the Instagram feed. So we'll spend some time kind of doing that as well. But for those, for the three people who may not know who you are, tell us a little bit about who Misshattan is.
I am a photographer here based in New York City. So I got my name inspired by Manhattan, and I've just always loved to create my whole entire life, and I'm really grateful that I was able to leave my 9 to 5 job to do this full time. So it's been an interesting journey, but glad to be here.
Awesome. That's great. So now probably one of the first questions that I think that everybody's going to have is what made you get started? Like you said, you had a normal life and then you jumped in. Like what got you interested in photography?
Oh man, I think I was fascinated by photography and videography at an early age, just messing around with my friends' cameras, my friends' parents' cameras, my parents' cameras, video cameras, anything we could get our hands on to create stuff. Always was intriguing. So like back in the day, we used to remember when Blair Witch Project came out, and it was
Yeah.
that old school video camera. So we had one of those that had those like black and white effects, and so we created our own little scene from the Blair Witch Project, and then from that it like spiraled on to we did a scene from Mrs. Doubtfire, we did a scene from The Water Boy, and we would ask anybody who was around to act a certain part, like whether it was a grandparent that was around or somebody's aunt or something. So like we were always, I actually still have these videos that you will never see.
Oh, that was the first.
So embarrassing. But yeah, no, it was just always, I just always loved to create.
That's awesome. And that's something that I didn't know in that like so you were doing video. So video was something that was very important to you.
Video, and yeah, we would just kind of document our lives, and photography, of course, we loved taking photos, and like, whether we'd be in the city and walking around with our parents at the time, we were so young, we'd always want to, me and my best friend at the time, we'd always want to just like create whatever we could, and then the anticipation of getting that film developed to see what you got, and then like you forget what you shot until you see the film. It's just like a fun experience that I was just always so fond of. I just never thought that I would ever make it a career. So I've been pretty grateful that that's the path that kind of life took me on.
And I think that that's the thing that I think that's really cool about that is that you experiment with different mediums, right? Like, so like you're doing photography, you've talked about film. I think these days it's really interesting in that you kind of can't just do photographer, or you're not really considered a photographer much, which was one of the other questions that came in when we were talking about this webinar. The the genesis of the question is basically, do you really consider yourself a photographer, or do you consider yourself an artist?
Right. So I like to create, whether it's, photography, videography, or making food, cooking in the kitchen. Like I love making things with my hands, starting from nothing and creating something out of it. So I mean, I guess you could say an artist, because I love to paint, I love drawing, I love digital art. Like I just, I like to dabble on everything, honestly.
And I think that it's apropos because it's like a lot of the times, like one of the things, obviously, like I've always loved your pictures of really, really high up in the air. And we'll talk about that in a second. But it's things like this that kind of get me, that I think are pretty cool. Like,
Yeah.
talk to me about this picture. Like, where were you? What was it like? What were you doing? What were you thinking about?
Oh man, so I actually got really lucky with this one. I love street photography. I think I find it so challenging, right? Because you really have to work on your patience and you have to kind of, take your time and really observe your surroundings. This is kind of a cheat sheet though, like this specific shot. I was actually doing some street photos and I was walking on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and lo and behold, there is a whole film set being taken place out in the street. And luckily, I had my camera with me. I was already shooting, and I saw a few people. These are some cast members that this wasn't in the middle of a shoot. They were just waiting to be called for the next scene, but they were dressed like 1950s style, like super cool. Like I've never gotten to see this, in real life in the city. So it was so hard to get any photos of them, to be frank, because there's just so many people around. So I kind of found a little like spot where I can kind of frame his head in between. I think it was like a pole and another person. And I'm just kind of shooting through. And I just love like his facial expression because like, he's, waiting to be called for this next scene. I was shooting The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I don't know if you're familiar with that show.
I
Uh,
am.
he's waiting to be called, and I just love the look, and it makes me want to shoot more set photography for sure.
And that one was one that stood out when we were talking about like the whole thing about creator versus photographer, because I feel like a lot of the times, if we were to take a look at, the, dare I say, the classical Misshattan, right?
Right.
What we'll see is a lot of this kind of stuff, right? One of my favorite buildings ever. Like
Thank
it's
you.
it's great, but these moments are the moments that I think that for me, I'm like, there's more to this person than just being up in the air and shooting in the pictures. You capture these quiet moments, and I think that those are the things that are really interesting to me.
I love to hear that because it's funny, like as we talk about this, social media, it kind of like dictates what you should be sharing, right? And for me, I get more scenes and views and all of that when I'm posting my typical Manhattan from a helicopter photo. So it's fun that when I share other types of photography that I'm interested in, I saw when you were on my feed, I saw, from different experiences, from, wrestling, moments in wrestling that I enjoy, to street photography. It's just a fun way to, express myself through my art, and seeing people's reactions just makes it all worth it. Yeah.
Like I was like, that's great. It's such a, and I think that that part is a little refreshing because I mean, I know that we talked a little bit about this in the pre-interview. Like there is a business about dealing with being a brand and doing content and doing all of this kind of stuff. But I love that in your feed, we can see this stuff as much as we can see the aerial shots, because it's like you get a peek into kind of the things that you like and the things that you're interested in.
I appreciate you saying that. I really do, because sometimes it can feel discouraging, you know, if something doesn't do as well as their typical shot, you know, you're feeding the algorithm, and I hate this algorithm, but it is what it is. And, you know, I hate to
Wait,
admit
wait,
it.
wait, hold up.
I
So you
do.
get nervous about posting stuff?
Oh my God, I feel like we all do. Not nervous. It's just, I feel like it takes a toll on you. It makes you question, like, oh, is this good? Are people gonna like this? And, you know, unfortunately, like now that social media is what it is today, you know, it's a business. It's not a photo sharing platform anymore. It's a business, and it's what people use to market different products and things and themselves. And, you know, and now you're feeding the algorithm, and it definitely takes a toll on creativity. Wouldn't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, I do. It's one of those things where it's like I wound up coming up, like I feel a little old, obviously. And I'll say, like, I was like, back when I was your age, we didn't have the
Right,
podcast and
right.
stuff. But it's like I spent a lot of time doing that kind of stuff and working on wanting to do my craft. And I felt like there was an intersection between what I was doing for myself versus what I was doing for everybody else. And every now and again, like I'm into politics, and, you know, like before I was a Photoshop guy and I did all of this kind of stuff. Like I got a degree in English lit, like and I was into Shakespeare, and I'd share these different ideas, and they're like, "Shut up and do Photoshop tutorials," and I was like, "Oh my god!" I'd
I'm
get
telling you, it's crazy out there. The internet is crazy.
so I'd get freaked out about wanting to share some of that stuff. So it's comforting to know that someone who's doing it at the game that you're at, that you have these kinds of moments as well. You know,
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your kind words, because, you know, you never hearing that and getting the support from people when you share different, you know, when people ask you, like, what type of photography do you shoot? And they automatically assume that what your social media is just like what the type of photography that you do. So,
yeah,
like, everybody knows if you're a photographer, obviously, if you can shoot one thing, there's a good chance you could shoot other things too. Now,
right.
obviously, there's a craft in everything. There's a craft in street photography, there's a craft in portrait photography and aerial photography, product. Like, obviously, there's different levels to it. But at the end of the day, what you share on social media isn't necessarily the only thing you can do, you know?
Right. So are we saying that we could get Miss Hatton to do a wedding at one point?
I'm actually in the middle of planning my own wedding, and because I'm making so much money in this industry, I'm like, why am I not shooting any weddings? You know, I feel like that would be fun. So I don't know, maybe when I go, you know, maybe once I have some downtime, I'll be like, who wants, I actually want to shoot somebody's wedding for free to start off, you know, like something
Um,
cool. And then, you know, you never know where it goes.
we'd have to figure out how to be able to put like helicopters high up in the air to do weddings. Like I
Right.
think it'd be a nice mix of like these intimate moments that you have, and then like these big epic landscapes that you
Absolutely.
All right, so listen, I got a gear talk real quick here, real quick. So,
Okay.
cameras, what are we doing in terms of cameras? What are you shooting?
I just switched to mirrorless. It,
Okay.
I'm late in the game. Call me old fashioned, but I just switched to mirrorless. I shoot with the Canon R5. Love it. Love, love, love it. Before that, I was shooting with the Canon 1DX. Obviously, I have the 5D Mark IV. I have the 6. If I
Yeah.
show you the amount of
Like,
cameras I have,
here, I'll help.
that's right. That's actually nothing compared. I literally, it's a lot, and I don't like to get rid of them because I don't know, it's very sentimental for me personally. each lens, you know, goes on a different journey with me. And you never know when you're gonna want to use it again. So I have the R5 now, and I also purchased the C70, which is a filming camera from
Yeah.
BenQ as well.
I just got a pair of those, and I've been shooting a lot of the stuff that I've been shooting on the C100s,
Oh,
and
amazing.
those were for me for like battle tanks. Like I've dropped them so many times. Like I wouldn't buy one of my things on eBay. Like I just that
Noted. I'm gonna take note. If I ever see you sell something, I'll be like, let's
like
keep it there.
it's like I don't have a. It's like as new or used. I was like, no, it's beat to hell. So
I mean, but that's why me personally, why I love Canon is that like I know that it's not gonna break on me. Like I know that I can rely on it
yeah,
personally.
those things have lasted forever. And then I started, and then I
Yeah,
moved into the C70s. Like I finally took the plunge, and I
yeah.
borrowed recently. I borrowed like I'm writing a Lightroom book, and I borrowed an R5, and I'm shooting everything on the R5. So I'm like, I like
I
this.
just can't believe I didn't have eye detection 3 months ago, you know, like the fact that I have a compressive button and it detects somebody's eye.
You're like,
That's like,
brilliant. This is so cool.
I'm like, everyone's been shooting this for years and here I am. But it goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter what model you use or anything, it all is great quality. Like nobody notices that what camera I'm using, you know, they just make it easier, I guess, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, I mean, I think it gets you into a spot where you could focus on, you know, kind of what's in here, right?
Absolutely.
Like I mean, I look at these pictures, and a lot of the times I'm like, and I know that a lot of people that get into the photography thing, the first inclination, especially when photographers get together with photographers, I used to tell people, I'm getting together with so and so, and we're doing this. And like, what do you guys talk about? Like, do you guys talk about your favorite f-stop? And I'm like, no, we don't. Like, we talk about kids and we talk about life. And it's
Right,
like this, right? When we look at a picture like this, it's more than the gear. It's like the creative part, like the story, like what are you thinking about when you're doing this?
yeah,
So for the gear, it just kind of gets out of the way.
right. Couldn't agree with you anymore.
But that said, if you had to pick a gear that you had, like, what does the Misshattan go bag look like? And well,
I would just say the R5 with the 28 to 70 f2. You know what I mean? Or like, it's just, the f2 is beautiful and it's so versatile. Like, you could do everything with that
okay, all
camera.
right,
Yeah,
I'm duly noted. I'm
yeah,
like, I'm gonna make sure that they make sure that I have that written down
yeah,
because I gotta go buy something
yeah,
now.
you should 28 to 70 f2, it's the one.
Hmm. Okay. Now, at one point, I would think that you didn't just you weren't just born in a helicopter, and you were just born doing all this stuff. Tell
Right.
me about the first time that you got up in the air anywhere, whether it be a roof or
Oh, rooftop, wow.
because
When
I've seen you do some rooftopping stuff. Like,
Oh my God, yeah, that's how I started with the whole kind of higher perspective shots. And I loved it. I instantly was just drawn to that. The feeling you get when you overlook the city is just incredible. And it really started when I started to work in Manhattan. I was working in finance at the time after I graduated college. And, you know, after work, first of all, we were on a high floor, so we had incredible views of the city. And it started with me bringing my camera to work. I'd like shoot from the top, the high floor that we were working on. And then I was like, oh, I could do street photography like on my way to work. Let me leave 45 minutes earlier and just have a little extra time to, you know, do some street photography. So that kind of made me into the habit of bringing my camera to work every single day. And I would obviously go to buildings with that I probably shouldn't have been in, to take some photos,
hmm,
you know, because I love the top of the rock and I love the Empire State Building, but there's only so many times that you can really, you know, shoot there. Like, how many, you don't want to shoot the same shot over and over again. And, and with that came the culture of social media and meeting up with other photographers. And we're like, oh, I want to get a photo of the Flatiron from a higher elevation. Like, we're looking around, we're on Google Maps, we're trying to figure out, like, where can we go? Like, what can we do? And it was just, we were just trying to figure out different vantage points, really. And aerial photography, I was lucky enough to, once I started sharing, this was, mind you, this was like 10 years ago, maybe 11 years ago now, actually. I started sharing my photography on social media, and a helicopter company reached out to me, and they loved my work, and they're like, hey, do you want to fly with us? And I was like, hell yeah, I want to fly. Like, yeah, let's do, like, absolutely, and that's like, I was so young at the time, and I was the youngest in my office, and I would leave in a suit and go straight to the helipad, and I would feel like a superhero. It was amazing. And getting in the helicopter was actually winter. That my first time in an open door helicopter in New York was during the winter time. My whole face was frozen. My tears were frozen. It's not everyone. It was not pretty. It was not cute at all. But the moment that you're like flying over the Empire State Building, it just, you're like in awe, like complete awe. I actually remember I didn't even take my camera out because I was like in shock of how beautiful, like you see the Empire State Building like coming out at you. And yeah, and then, obviously you're a little nervous when you're, in a helicopter. You've never really done this before. But once you start taking pictures, that's it. Everything kind of melts away, all the fears, and you're just focused on getting the shot.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've only been on helicopters, I think twice,
Oh, wow.
my entire thing. And the first one and the second one, I went with a company, and when I went to go do the helicopter shot, they were like, it is so cold out there that we could only go up for like half the time that we said we were going to. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And literally, like, I went up and I could not even think straight. Like, I was like, everything hurt and my fingers couldn't move.
It's hard to click the shutter because your fingers are, if you're not wearing the proper gloves and you're not layered up, it's challenging, everything has its own challenges.
And then I was just like, I'm gonna fall out of this thing. And I was like freaked out about it.
Where
So
was
like,
it?
it was in New York City. It was
Oh,
a
okay,
doing in New
cool.
York City. It was one of those helicopter companies that
Yeah.
takes people out on an open door
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't do very well. And but the very very first time I was like, I went out with a photographer, Joe McNally. He was like, oh, do you want to come out on a shoot? And I was like, yeah. And I don't really share a lot of those pictures because he was on a shoot and I was just writing, right? So like, I don't want to jump on his shoot. But it was one of those things where it's just like he was so close to the Statue of Liberty, and he was like at this angle, and I was like, I'm gonna fall. You're gonna see like fat guy just like.
I mean, but you want the look down shot, no? Don't you want that look down shot?
I do. Like
That's the helicopter.
I was like, oh my god, and I'm deathly afraid of heights.
I think I am too.
What?
I don't trust my own feet with heights. Like, I don't trust, but I'm telling you, once you're focused on just shooting, then
Okay, so I don't feel so bad then because it's one of those things where like I've got a couple shots that I've done where I've been like literally like freaked out, and I feel like I spent all my time. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, I will come back and change underwear, but I'm getting the shot. Like,
you gotta get the shot. Gotta get the shot. Same thing when I started scuba diving, and the beginning of scuba diving, you get so uncomfortable because you're like not used to being underwater for so long, and like it's just so, and you're going deeper, and it's just it's not easy. And I remember I was doing my first open dive, and it was challenging for me. And then the next day I was like, you know what, F it, I'm gonna bring my little camera, my underwater camera. And of course, the moment I click the on button, I'm swimming with the fishes, your mind's not focused on breathing, you're just being yourself, and you're more focused on just getting the shot. So
The only other time that I did underwater photography, I almost drowned. Like I can't
No.
swim. I didn't know how to swim. And I
Oh
went
my God.
and I wanted to take pictures of Jesus, what, whale sharks.
Oh, wow.
So if you go to Mexico, like you travel all over the world, so I'll give you this as a tip. Go to Mexico in July, August, and stay in outside of Cancun. You can go and it's literally their migratory path.
Oh, wow.
And you can go and you can dive. And like, you know, like sometimes you go whale watching, they're like, oh, you know, whale watching, like maybe you'll see a whale.
Right.
This was like we were there for an hour and a half and we probably saw the better part of 80 giant, as big as a school bus, whales just coming through.
All right. Noted. I'm gonna
It's
be sure.
amazing. And I wound up getting water in my housing and I threw up in my snorkel and because I was about to die.
And all the fish probably came with your
Yeah,
throw up.
I'm like, but I got one shot. I got one shot. So
Well, that's all you need. All you
that's
need is
it.
one shot. That's
All right.
all
So here,
you
let
need.
me give you this. Let me give you another question here because we could talk all the time.
I
So it's
know.
like Moke said, I bet my dream is to fly over the Chrysler building.
Hmm.
What's that like? Like you're a big fan of the Chrysler building.
I love the Chrysler building. It's
Oh,
actually
I
like,
think we lost you. We got you on mute.
oh,
No,
you hear me?
I wanted to
No?
make sure.
Can you
Oh,
hear
and then
me?
when I was an Army photog, I got to shoot out of the back of a C-130 once. Incredible. Oh my goodness. That would be terrible to be able to do that.
Can you hear me? We're good?
Yep, I got you now.
Oh, amazing. Okay, good. Yeah, no, I mean, the Chrysler building is a part of my logo. That's how much I love it. It isn't, first, first or second place, depending. I don't know. I do love the Empire State Building. It also holds, you know, a deep place in my heart. But yeah, flying in Midtown, flying over the Chrysler Building, and like flying all over the Helmsley, but like all these buildings, it's just incredible. And you really have to go at the right time because sometimes they won't let you. Now that the aerial photography is so popular, the air traffic is just crazy. So they won't even let sometimes they won't let you fly over it. So you have to like really speak with your pilot and plan ahead to get that shot.
Oh, here. I was just looking for this just because I wanted to show you because I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk again. But
Yeah.
look, that's the shot that I almost drowned for.
I think it was worth almost drowning for, don't you? I mean,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, it's not the Chrysler building, but I mean, it's all right. It
I
doesn't,
mean, it's pretty mage, I think.
so, but it's so you sorry, so what have we learned? So we've learned that you have a fear of heights. You wonder about whether or not it's helping or whether or not the pictures that you put resonate. How do you deal with when they don't?
As long as I like it, I mean, we're good. Like you just have to love what you do. Honestly, you can't overthinking is like the death of us, you know what I mean? So try not to
Okay.
overthink and just enjoy what you do. It's a journey, and that's a part of your journey.
Okay. All right. That's great. Let me just do a quick scan here. Mo says that I would have to get a buzz to do this. Have you flown with a buzz? And actually, don't answer that. Like,
I'm sure, I've flown over 400 times, so I'm sure like in Vegas or somewhere or something, I don't know. I don't even, I don't drink too often. I just need a cocktail and that's all, that's as far as my buzz goes.
okay. All right. So let me see what else here. Now, when it comes to editing, how much editing, like what are you using? Photoshop? Do you use Lightroom? Do you like,
I use Lightroom. It really depends on what type of photo. I like to play around in Photoshop and have fun, and there's such a powerful tool. You can do so much with it.
okay,
But for my basic editing, day-to-day, Lightroom all the way.
nice. As a person who writes the Lightroom classroom in a book, I approve. Like, Good answer.
I mean,
Um,
now the new updates for Lightroom are just so insane, like object, like all the detections of people, and it's just really crazy. I wish we had it some years ago, honestly, but
I feel like I get a lot of people that are like, "Oh, it's making it too easy," and I'm like, "Yo, like if you're
it's
worried
making
about,"
it easy.
I was like, "If you're worried about how easy it is in Lightroom, like you should go worry about what it looks like when you're capturing it." Like,
Right, absolutely, absolutely. It gives, listen, editing is a tedious task. Like it gives you more opportunity to focus on other things like your surroundings and getting that control.
so how long? When I talk, oh, somebody just said RC has math skills. Thank you very much, Mo. I try. James Gordon Patterson. When I taught at my college, I used the classroom in a book. Cool. So then you were using my stuff. Obviously, it's not, you know, you don't get to see cool pictures. You get to see pictures like my dog and my wife, and they're cool. They're cool. But so how much time would you say that you spend editing a picture? You get done. Talk me through it. You come down off the helicopter. You do this.
Actually, when I come down from the helicopter, I don't even review my images at
What?
all. Not, I have to wait a day. I need to eat a burger. I need to eat burger or pizza, something greasy. I need to unwind because it's a lot of adrenaline and there's a lot going on and it really does take a toll on you, especially depending on how many times you kind of bank the helicopter. It can get you a little dizzy and it's not that it's fun, but it's not that good to your body, I would say. I actually recently, do you know Peter Hurley?
Yeah, I know Peter well.
Oh, you
Peter's a good
do?
friend.
I just took him on a helicopter ride
Did you?
about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. We're doing a B&H Show Me the Ropes video series where he taught me a little bit about the headshots that he does, and I took him out on a helicopter. So it was interesting to see him, you know, in that light in a helicopter. And while he definitely, appreciated what I did more after going on that experience with me. So it was
Really?
fun. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like and I'll say this. Look, I'm gonna take a screenshot of you. Hold up. And I'm gonna send that to Peter. Like literally, I just
Okay,
texted
yeah,
him.
yeah.
I've known Peter probably the better part of I want to say 18 years.
You're
Like
a lucky man because I just met him and I love him. He's
uh
so knowledgeable, so smart, so kind, such a kind human. It's
and
insane.
that's the thing. Like Peter's just one of those guys where it's just like he can be intense. Like when he's doing Peter Hurley, like it's
I love it.
intense.
I know it
But
isn't, I love every
it's
second
so
of it.
good. Like it's so cool. But I will confess to you something that I've never confessed to anybody ever,
What?
ever. The only person that
Ooh, we're getting the
the only
scoop here.
right? No, it's just because you said it and I just reminded myself of it. You said about the burger. So when I went up on a helicopter ride with a photographer person, right? So I'm watching McNally and he's doing these shoots and we're buzzing this stuff. And I am so stressed about what, like, am I gonna fall? Like, is this gonna happen? And it's not like all the shot was just messed up. And I remember being in such a panic. And I remember turning and I saw what looked like in my head. You're probably not familiar with this, but do you know the show The A Team?
No.
Okay, so there's this dude in the A Team who's just like this old combat veteran who used to smoke a cigar. And I remember just being like in a pure panic. And I turned and I swear he wasn't wearing any harness. He had to have been, but he just looked like he looked like he needed a cigar out of his mouth. He's holding a camera with a 200 f2 on his knee, and he's just like, ah, and it felt like it was like a scene out of like Vietnam. Like we're in this combat chopper, and he's just shooting these shots. And I remember coming down, and I remember being like, and this is what I said, and obviously I don't mean it, but I was just like, I feel like I want to kill and eat a homeless person. Like I was so amped up Like I've never had that.
Yeah,
I've never had that much adrenaline in my life. Like it was crazy.
really does. Listen, I fly all the time and yeah, every time I already know I'm either gonna go to McDonald's or get chicken nuggets and fries, or I need something that's fatty and disgusting after I fly, like greasy, cheesy, not good for you. That's what I want after I fly.
Okay, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Oh wait, so somebody said, when it's on my college, James Gordon. Wait a second, that's RC. Holy cow. Yeah. Hey James. I'm like, Moke says, where does masterclass stand in your future, Natalie? For those of us who want to learn some skills from you. Ooh.
Wow. You know, as I mature and get a little older, that's why I give you so much props, Arcee, because it's not easy being in front of the camera and teaching and, just being in front of the camera is a skill in itself, right? But I think, with the right people, with the right team, I actually feel comfortable now in my skin at this time of my life to start doing some educational videos for sure.
So I want to dig a little bit in that as a person who stalked you for a very long time, in the nicest way possible, obviously. Um, I didn't really know what you look like for a
Right,
very long time. And I looked at Instagram, like I remember saying to myself, I'm like, who is this person?
right.
Was that on purpose?
I don't know what it is. I mean, I'll occasionally have a photo of me here and there. I just like to stick to the art that I like to create. Obviously, if there's like a photographer that's taken a dope photo of me, like I'd love to support and repost their shot and share that image. But yeah, I don't know. It's not a main priority for me to like get the photo of me with me in it. It's more of get the photo that I love, but I'm not in it.
And that was what, and so that was the thing that I thought was really interesting because I remember for a while, like I didn't see anything, didn't see anything, didn't see anything, and it felt very enigmatic. And then at one point, like I saw a shot and I was just like, did she just shoot him up? Holy, that's her. And it was just one of those things where it was just like, I felt like, and then I felt like I started seeing more of it. So I was very curious about,
Well, what do you guys think? Should I like post more like behind the scenes with me in the photo, or should I just keep it, you know, strictly my art and call it dead? What do you think?
yeah, I'd love to hear what people think, like about that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
yeah.
I
You guys
kind of like,
are
I gotta say, I kind of like both. I like both. I
right, like
like
a
knowing,
combination.
yeah, I like knowing that there's a person behind it. Like, I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Um, let me see.
It's funny, I'm like an introvert, extrovert, I don't know, I'm very outgoing and social when I meet people, but but I like my alone time too when I'm alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know.
Somebody just said, consider not telling the homeless person part. Obviously, I didn't mean it. It was just like the only thing I could think of.
Right, right.
I have not done that. Um, all right. So you get off the helicopter, McDonald's is in hand, like you're just chowing. You're looking at your card. Like, do you dump the card? Nothing stays in camera.
So, so I try not to even like touch my foot. Like I literally, I'm brain dead. I
Okay.
need to eat and then like lay on a couch and just like come back to earth, and then the next morning I will take my card out of my camera. I'll put it on a drive. I'll organize the files first. I had to learn the hard way how important it is to just consistently, just before you do anything, just make sure your files are organized first before you go through the editing process, which it can be very tempting. Because sometimes you like know you took a sick shot and you want to just edit it right away, which I've done. I'm like, I'm not even gonna, I can't find my hard drive or this one's full. Like, let me just edit. So much easier when it's all organized and there for you. And then I'll review some photos and I'll pick maybe anywhere from like 5 to 10 images, my favorite ones, and I'll just edit them.
Okay. You
Yeah.
know what I started doing for myself, and one of the reasons I started using the Mark IV for was the rating button on the Mark
Oh,
IV.
I love the rating button. I do that too if I know that I need a certain shot and I need to just get home and edit it, like if I'm working with a specific brand or if anything that needs to be done ASAP, the rating is amazing. I love that feature.
And I was like, that's my McDonald's. Like, I'll edit that one shot, and then I'm like, now I gotta go organize. I gotta go
Oh,
organize.
that's awesome. That's good, actually. That's a good, I think that beats chicken nuggets for sure.
All right, so you're editing on the monitor. Like, do you send it to your phone immediately? Like, how do you know you got it? Like, how do you know that it looks good? Do you put it on your phone? Do you
Well,
just
I
look
mean,
at your computer?
ever since I got this beautiful BenQ monitor, which is,
Oh,
gotta shout out BenQ for this.
ding.
I know, I honestly, like, I really love it. It's so true to color, and when I send it to my phone, I don't have the problem anymore of colors looking off or anything like that, so it's actually pretty seamless. Before I had a monitor, I used to send images to my phone, and then I'm like, this didn't look like what I edited, like, why does it look different? And then I'd have to re-edit and edit and go back, it was extra time wasted, so. Yeah, it's just, try to put them in my Dropbox and I download them from my phone or AirDrop them and post away.
And they're consistent. Like, you could just see one, you see the other. Like, you're not worrying about compensating for one versus another.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so can I ask so let me ask another question about the monitor thing. Do you ever just geek out on yourself with image? Like, do you ever just put the image in Lightroom and then just do full screen and just like sit back and stare at it?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
Because that
Absolutely.
was me. Like, I would sit like the one thing, and I say this all the time, and separately before I say anything else, like, I just want everybody to know when we were doing this, like, we had really no plan. We were just like, let's just talk and let's just have something be inspirational. Um, one of the cool things about BenQ, about what it is that they're doing with this, is we literally had a pre-meeting that turned around and said, look, you don't have to talk about the monitor. Like, what they're trying to do is just support
Yeah,
and
they told me not to talk. I did not follow the rules. They told me not to talk about the monitor. But I mean, you asked about my editing, and I genuinely, really, truly feel that, it has helped me tremendously with my workflow.
yeah, I mean, but like, the thing that I thought was pretty cool about the company was just that, like, they're doing a lot of outreach to be able to kind of get photographers talking about photography and talking about this. And the entire genesis of it is just like, once you get it, you'll know, like, it does change a lot of how you see things. So the proof is for itself, but the fact that they sponsor and they work and they do this kind of stuff so that we can have these conversations, I think is pretty neat.
And
But
connecting artists with each other. Like, I'm so grateful that I got to connect with you, and who knows, maybe we'll be in a helicopter, or I'll teach you how to swim and we can get some more
no, I'm getting
underwater.
good now. I got a
Oh,
pool
yeah,
now. Like, I'm
okay.
getting better. Like,
Good.
after that, like, and it wasn't that I knew, we could talk for hours, but it was one of those things where it's like I kind of sort of was drowning. Um,
You just
so
have to learn how to float. You just need to be relaxed and learn how to float.
all right, so I'll take you through this for a second. So here's the thing. So I had a life vest on, right?
Okay.
So I was okay, and I
Okay.
had learned how to tread water, but I had one of those things, what is it called? A dry top snorkel. So like, when you go under, the ball locks it and then you don't do anything. But I had like a suit that I was gonna wear to go in, and the person that I was with didn't have a suit. So we gave him the suit, and then they gave me the life vest. The problem with the life vest is I was wearing a 14 to 24, and I needed to try to get the camera far enough under the water so that I could shoot at 14, but I couldn't dive because I had the vest on.
Right.
So I was turning sideways to try to get myself into the shot,
And then the
and
water was coming in.
the water was just straight in. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I'm drowning. Like, lungs are on fire. Like, I'm throwing up back into the snorkel, but I did it. So it wasn't as terrible as it sounded, but,
Good.
but it was pretty bad. So the reason that I brought up the entire thing with the phone, with Lightroom, was Is there ever a spot where you take a look at it and then you're like, yeah, like you do the edit and then you leave it on the come back and you're like, hmm,
All the time, you know,
what?
not every, not all, not as often as you think, but like, yeah, it happens, you know, you're not every shot is gonna be that like take your breath away and, you know, nothing else matters. No, you know, right now, you look outside, it's bland looking right now, but you could still make something out of nothing when something looks like, you could still make it. And it really depends on how creative you end up getting with your edits or what you want to shoot, or maybe if you're just not feeling the photo at that moment, and you know, you could revisit it in a couple of months and then be like, oh, I could actually do this with the photo to make it look cool. So yeah, no, I mean, you know, I have no shame saying not every shot is like my favorite shot. I'm a very critical person of myself, at least. So, you know, I definitely want it to be A1 every time.
How big is your Lightroom library?
Oh my God. It's, I need to actually, we're gonna have a conversation after this, because I need to figure out how to reorganize it. I kind of want to delete everything and start from scratch. Is that
Oh,
bad?
so no, it's not bad. It's not bad. So here's the thing. I tell people all the time, I've been working on this for 20 years. I've traveled the world and I've seen all these parts around the world. And people are like, this is back when I was like at my last job with Kelby. People be like, oh my God, what's it like traveling the world? And I was like, yo, you know what it's like? I fly to Dubai. Somebody turns around and goes, hey, I'm glad you're here. And I'm like, what cool things are we going to do? And they're like, no, you're going to go to my basement and sort out the 40 hard drives that I have with the thing. I'm like, all I've ever done is work on the not sexy parts of Lightroom, which is,
Honestly, that sounds really sexy to me. So we're gonna have to talk, and you're gonna have to teach me your ways, because, like I said in the beginning of this conversation, organization is key. And I feel like you definitely know some tricks up your sleeves to make it easy and seamless.
oh, Peter just texted back and he's like, cool, I love her.
I
So,
love that man. I love him. He's amazing.
but it was one of those things where, so I was saying all of that to say that I feel like a lot of what I do, I talk about Lightroom all the time, in that I think Adobe, to some degree, doesn't do a really good job at telling people that it's an organizational tool that happens to develop pictures. They do it the other way around. They're like, look at how cool you
Yeah.
can develop stuff. And people just start throwing stuff in and they're like, look, this is amazing. Until like 6 months from now, they're like, what do you mean it can't find a drive? What do you mean I'm out of space? What do you like? And there's all of that housekeeping stuff that when I go on seminars, I usually tell people I'm the person who talks about the not sexy parts, but those are the parts that are like in the highest demand.
I was right about to say, I mean, it sounds like I need to be a part of this, and I feel like I'm pretty good with my stuff and organizing, but I know I can be better. You know what I mean? I know it could be easier, I know it could be better.
Yeah.
And you know
Look,
your stuff.
take a look at this Lightroom. Let me show you. Can you
Ooh,
see,
show me.
can, can you see my Lightroom?
Yes.
So it's probably hard to see, but you see how many pictures I
Yeah,
have there?
yeah, yeah. I do. I
300,
see that.
395,045. I'd say maybe 45 of those are actually any good.
Oh my God, you got the foggy
Oh, yeah,
Bermuda?
yeah, 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 yeah. That's what I was gonna
That's
show you.
the shot that I've been dying to get for years.
Look.
Wow. Oh, it's, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Oh, dude, I got the spot. I know exactly who to talk to. You have to go at a very specific time of year, but we got the connections like that. I could tell you exactly what hotel it is, who to talk to, when to talk to them, how to be able to. A lot of this stuff, ADD's kicking in. Hold up. Let me back it up a little bit here. How much of what you do relies on access?
A lot, as you were right about to say. A lot is access, and a lot, you know, but that's why I love aerial photography, is because I can just pay for my flight and get the shots that I want, and, you know, I don't have to rely too much on anything else. Obviously that does get pricey to some extent, but yeah, no, definitely access is a nice part when it, depending on the type of photography you want to do, you know, street photography, you have unlimited access. You just walk and shoot. And
Right.
there's no rules to it. You don't have to, you know, you could shoot in the middle of the day when it's overcast or sunny and bright with shadows. Like you can always mess around and play with it. Yeah.
I've gone to Dubai several times. Now, mind you, it's not like I got it like that, right? Like I'm a professor at a university now. Like we don't have that kind of lifestyle, but the times
That
that I've
sounds
spent,
badass though, professor. Like,
oh yeah, no, it's cool. Like
you got insurance, so that's
I've gone from like being a RC Photoshop guy to Professor Concepcion, which is kind of cool, I think.
that's very cool.
But I say that to say that I've had times where I've spent my money. I used to go to workshops, so I used to go there a lot. And then I had clients bring me out there. And then there were times where I paid the money to be able to do it. And I got there and I nervously sat there, just like biting my nails. I'm like, please come, fog, please come. And I had to leave and no fog. Oh, wait, here, hold up. ADD just kicked in again. You were asking about the ring road shot. Look,
Yes.
so that's one shot with the ring road.
Love it. Love it.
So, but look at how much construction had not happened yet, like on the front of it.
Yeah.
So I'd been there for a bit. But anyway, so I say that to say I had been out there a whole bunch of different times and I never got it. Has there been a time where
Oh,
you,
luck. It really is luck. You never could predict the weather. Can't plan for it.
has there been a time where you've jumped in and like set up all of this stuff only to get skunked out?
I mean, yeah, no, like, of course. I've traveled to San Francisco on multiple, I literally say, everybody says, you want low fog, you gotta go end of August. I lived there for a month, literally, just so I could get the shot. And even then, it wasn't to my, like, it wasn't the foggiest, you know, you can't predict the weather, so, but that Dubai shot, that I've been wanting that shot for years. And
I can tell you,
I've been to Dubai 5, 6 times too, but you gotta let me know.
I look at some of your shots, like I look at some of your shots out the window. Now, mind you, like some of the photography that I do is impressionistic, like it's that HDR-y kind of like hyper realistic kind of stuff. I tend to call it the Elvis on Velvet kind of thing, where I'm like, I like it, but my biggest problem is I've always wanted to shoot from some of the like out your balcony would be such an amazing shoot.
You
Like,
are welcome to come here anytime,
you
literally
know,
any.
I will probably take you up on that, and we'll
Hit
do
me up,
light
we'll
art.
call Peter Hurley to come, we'll all have lunch somewhere, or dinner, so you can get
Oh, that would be
sunset.
funny. That would be so cool.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
favorite destination. Where have you gone that you like to shoot?
I don't have a favorite destination, but I mean,
Really?
no, it's all about the people that you know how it is when you travel somewhere, you know, you, as a creative, you tend to want to connect with other local creatives to like show you around. So for me, it really depends on who I'm meeting up with and how much fun we have. Like, yes, like, all right, I could say I love Hong Kong, right? Because I do. It's definitely,
Okay.
but I've had trips where I've had other great trips in the summer, like it depends on the people that you're with, you know, as much as you love the city and it's beautiful. For me, it's more of that experience of who you go through to get these images with, especially when you travel.
I'd agree.
You know
I'd
what I
agree.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many beautiful places in the world. Like there really is. There really, really is. India. I traveled to India by myself,
I've
and
never been to India.
it's incredible. I love it. It's the most dangerous place for any woman to go by herself or with you. Like you have to make sure you're prepared for that. But I connected with local creatives that took me under their wing, that like I felt safe in that. And I was going to these towns that like it was dangerous to be in for a woman, you know.
And
But I had the best time of my life. And then I went to the Holy Festival with all the lights and the colors.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking on social media and I see other people like literally crying, like, I thought this was supposed to be magical, because of like how bad it can get sometimes, unfortunately. But for me, I had the complete opposite. I had the most beautiful experience. I met the most incredible people. We literally like, I was only there for 4 or 5 days, but we built this like tight bond that I don't know. I feel like nothing can take that away. And then now when I look back at the images, it's just so much more meaningful because I had these people that I connected with to get these shots.
I tell people all the time, like in photography, it's like you go out, it's kind of like fishing. Like you go out, you hope to get something.
It
And
is
I'm
like
like, you either come back with a picture or a story.
right. I'm gonna
Or,
do that. I like that. It is like fishing. You're
right?
see, you're
And
brilliant.
sometimes you come back with both, and that's pretty cool. Like,
Absolutely.
but I wanted to touch on one more thing that you talked about because I think it's something that it isn't from a situation of like when you guys are when you're talking about this kind of stuff, that level of access where you're like, sure, come over, like, sure, work on this, sure, like, you're not just a brand that's kind of working on these kinds of things. Like, you appreciate the fact that you're honest about that you went there and somebody took you under their wing, but now you find yourself in a position where you take other people under their wing and your platform is kind of a part of that. Like, tell me a little bit about that. Like,
Yeah, I think being a creative is not an easy thing. Jobs are inconsistent and it's hard mentally, right? I think mental health is a big, topic in this space because it's not an easy place to navigate. So the one thing that you can always, 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 always feel good about is that factor of giving back and connecting with others and helping. Because I know when somebody helps me, like for instance, Peter Hurley, he wants to help me learn more about studio photography because I told him that's what I want to learn. And he goes like above and beyond to like take his valuable time to teach me, somebody who he just recently met. That's something that I will never, ever, ever forget. And I appreciate it so much. So I think just to continue to pay it forward, if somebody wants to learn about aerial photography or street photography or anything that I kind of feel like I have knowledge on, I will, or the business part of it, because the business part of this industry isn't, taught either. Like we're all kind of winging it and learning and going as we go, learning as we go. So yeah, just paying it forward and passing knowledge to one another. I think that really just helps push all creatives for us to like move forward and build and grow in the space.
and I think that I could not agree with you more. And I think that there's something to be said about you being able to be open about that kind of stuff. And I've talked a little bit about it where I'm like, I think that people think sometimes like being on Instagram is like sunshine and rainbows and it's beautiful pictures and things like that. But for you to take that time to just be like, no, it isn't,
No, it's not.
and sometimes they don't work. And
It
sometimes
could
the
be
shots,
really toxic too, without you even realizing. That's why, like, now we see all these like mental health issues that are arising all over the US and stuff. And like, you know, I'm sure social media has a really big part of it. People feeling left out, people feeling, and for us, it's different as creatives because we're just working and focused on the art. But now it became this more like, so it's not a photo sharing platform anymore. It's bigger than that in the sense of, anybody, whether you like photography or not, wants to have a voice and have their own following and platform on these social platforms.
so the last thing that I'll do is I'll ask you, what's the ideal shoot? Like the bucket list shoot.
Oh man, I just want to travel and meet people and shoot with different people. I don't have like a one thing I want. There's many things I want to get. The Burj Khalifa that you just showed me in the low fog, I've been wanting that for probably 8 years since like when I first saw it. That's an incredible shot. There's so many shots that I want to get, and that's great and all, right? But it's more of that story behind the shot of like how you got there and what it took to get it. So I can't really answer that question without knowing what the journey is to get there.
I'm like, I feel like here, that's my bucket list right there.
Is it really? That's it.
Oh,
Come to New York for a couple of weeks and look
I'm
at
like, that's my bucket list. And let me see, where is it? That's my bucket list.
right.
And I'm like, I mean, come on.
Right.
Like, look at that. Right. I wanted to make sure that people could see that at least one more time. It's just amazing, amazing work. Now, listen. So we can find you on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
That would be.
I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to do more stuff like that. But I just, hopefully within the next, once after I get married and all of that kind of wedding stuff fades, I have more time to.
How you doing on the planning? How you doing on the planning? You good?
We're getting there. I'm a week and a half away from the big day. And a few things kind of fell apart. Important things like hair and makeup, for instance. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm a very chill person. So like, I know it'll work out. Like right now I have nothing on my face and my hair is out the shower and it's okay. We're all good.
Yeah, like I think you're gonna be fine like that, man. Like I think you're okay.
Know, on your wedding day, you obviously want it'll work out. But yeah, there's a few loose ends, but I'm confident we got this.
I feel like the wedding was a blur for me. And then we just got up and we just had all these different factions of people that were pissed off because we didn't get to do this or we didn't get to do that. And I was like, we didn't even get to eat.
I'm eating. I'm 1,000% eating. I'm eating. Whoever wants to hang out can come hang. I'm gonna try to be as present as possible. I'm not gonna have my phone with me. I want to be there fully.
I had wanted pigs in a blanket and chicken wings. I don't know why, but that's what I wanted. And they made like this.
Who doesn't love pigs in a blanket and chicken? I actually have pigs in a blanket at my wedding. So
I'm like, I thought that would be so cool. And I remember it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. We got back to the hotel room and the venue packed a whole bunch of little things, but they didn't pack forks.
Oh.
So it was like 2 o'clock in the morning and we're eating cold food with the coffee stirrers from the hotel. We're like skewering stuff. And I'm like, we spent so much money for this and this is what we eat. So I think you have a great attitude about it. Be present.
Yeah,
be happy.
I'm gonna try my best. I know it's gonna go by quick because it's overwhelming with like all these people in our lives. I can't believe this industry is as big as it is. I've learned a lot about, the wedding industry and how wild and things can get so crazy and out of hand and how expensive it is. But I'm excited and I'm looking forward to the experience because that, I think that's what, for me, what makes things special. A lot of people tell me like, why don't you just elope and travel and go? And I'm like, yes, but like the experience of seeing all the people that you love in one room, I'll never get to. It's either your wedding day or your funeral. So I'm gonna choose to be alive to see that, even if it is way too much money, honestly.
So this is what you do. So take an R5, take the 28 to 70, give it to someone else. Let them hold it and then just go and then be like, be present. And then should the itch arise?
I have so many photo activation things going on. I have, 2 photographers, 2 videographers, like incredible ones too, by the way. A 360 camera, photo booth. I have film cameras on each table. Like there's a lot of photos to be had. So if I don't get at least one fire banger shot, then I give up, honestly. I give up.
Well, I can't wait to thank you for spending the time with us. I can't wait to
Thank
hear
you
from
for
you.
spending time with me and all of you guys in the chat. It's really, really, I'm really happy and I'm grateful I got to do this.
Cool. Awesome. I'm hoping this isn't the last time. We'll spend some more
I
time together.
hope it better not be the last time.
No.
And you have to come to my balcony. You have to
Okay.
shoot.
The next
Yeah,
one we'll do from there.
I love that. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you very much, everybody, for stopping by. We will see you soon. Take care.
Bye, guys.